Hey everyone, welcome to the Warrior Peons. I don't know, podcast. I have to find a name for this. This is just going to be news of things to do with Australia primarily, with some world events thrown in that are interesting or have relate to Australia in some way or will affect Australia. I'm not sure how often these will go out, depends on the news, but this is the first one. So let me know what you think of it and if you like this format and if you want to hear more news from Australia. So to start with, we're going to talk about this, which is a rather pleasant side effect of the CrowdStrike outage. So CrowdStrike took down all these systems. For people who don't know this, well, I'm not sure what rock you're under, but it prevented things like shops and banks and airlines and a lot of other companies from actually being able to process digital payments or, by card. So experts have now come out with this opinion that Australia's vulnerability to digital systems makes it that cash will remain to be king. And so cash is not going to go anywhere because CrowdStrike has actually highlighted how poorly managed Australian systems are when there's no other alternative to pay besides the digital payment. So as you can see here, cash may no longer be king, but an unprecedented global outage has put pay to the idea Australia will do away with paper notes and coins anytime soon. So like I said before, banks, airlines, etc., were stopped working because of a simple update in security software. A lot of people say this is a hack and there was like problems with it, but anybody who's worked in IT or has to deal with these sort of things knows that patches can break anything anytime. I've been in many a situation where a Windows update has broken Windows, let alone a security software update that can affect anything on the system as well. So that I don't believe it was a hack of CrowdStrike. I think it was just a poor patch that unfortunately probably ruined their shareholding for a while, their share prices for a while. So yeah, this CrowdStrike thing could actually have worked out for people who don't want to get rid of their cash and hate the fact that the government are trying to push them towards a more digital ID and digital payment system. So that's one good thing. Which brings me on to this bell end. So this cock, this is Stephen Jones, who's an MP for Labour, worst party ever. They are the equivalent of the Democrats in America, for people who don't know. This is brought to us by Australians versus the Agenda. Great site, go to him. Great channel, go and subscribe to him because he comes up with some great stuff. So this guy is trying to convince people that passing the digital identity bill into law is a choice, and but however he uses the word mandate at the end, which is clearly where they're going to go with all of this stuff. So just listen to this guy for a few minutes.
There's currently no means, there is no legislation which provides a consumer with the right to say, I want to use that digital ID or I don't want to use that digital ID, until this bill is passed into law. And once this bill is passed into law, there will be a right for a consumer to say, yes, I want to use that digital ID system, or no, I don't want to use that digital ID system. So for those members of the coalition who are proposing to vote no because they think they're not going to have a choice, if you vote no and this bill goes down, you will be denying yourself and those that you represent an actual choice about whether a business can require that you use some form of digital ID or some other form of digital ID. So it creates the choice and creates the mechanism through which a voluntary use of a digital ID system can be maintained and mandated in this country.
So I don't know if you caught that there, but he's talking about it won't be enforced until it becomes law. And then he goes on to say that companies can then force a customer to use a digital ID when this law is put in place, which basically says that the public are going to get screwed over and everybody's going to be forced to move on to this government ID, digital ID, and digital banking systems, which means that then you'll be on to digital central currencies and that sort of shit. And this guy, along with everybody else in Parliament, is a criminal. Anybody who votes for this is a criminal. And these people don't have our best interests at heart. And this guy saying that voting this down denies the public the ability to choose one way or another is a total bunch of bullshit. This is a way for the government to enforce more government overreach and government mandates on the population and also have more control over their population. It's got nothing to do with anything else. This guy is a wanker. Going on to the next one. This one was brought in a while ago. This was June. And you may not have seen this if you're overseas, but this was in response to Albanese getting memed to pieces. Prime Minister Albanese has the thinnest skin of anybody I've ever seen in politics. Guy cannot take anything, and so he's having a strop on about the fact that people kept memeing him. But what he's doing is he's hiding it in this deep fake pornography legislation, which basically means where they've worded it here, if you get 6 years penalty of 6 years imprisonment, or 7 years where the person created the deep fake. So it's 6 years for just sharing it without the person's consent who it's about, or 7 years where you actually create that deep fake pornography. Problem with this is that this is not your normal pornography fake images and videos that they're talking about. This is stuff that will affect them in particular. And the reason I know this is because stuff like this would be targeted by Albanese. So this is exactly the sort of thing that he is pissed about and why this shit is coming in and he's going to try and use it. It also stops people from being able to actually have any sort of free speech or make a joke about anything, because they will then throw whatever you use, and it is listed as sexually explicit material, but the bar for what is sexually explicit could be anything, and it's whatever they feel upset about is what's going to be it. So from Albanese's point of view, all these LGBT arseholes walking around with their cocks out in the street during Pride Parade and stuff like that, that's not sexually explicit. Sharing that video and editing it would be sexually explicit under this law, and doing anything of him is 100% going to be marked up as sexually explicit, especially if you put him with a massive black dildo, or you put him in S&M gear, which is one I've seen. So this is a terrible legislation. It is going to be used badly. If you want to see how this is going to be used, look at the UK, which has this sort of shit already in place there, and people are being thrown in jail for just sharing memes. It is a disgrace. It is an attack on free speech. It is another control method to keep the population cowed and under the boot heel of government. Now we have the next attempt at trying to lock people down and make them scared of being near each other and breathing around each other. They have a Legionnaires outbreak in Melbourne, which currently has affected about 40 people. So it's nothing serious yet. This one, even though it's not transmissible from human to human, they'll probably start suggesting you put masks and shit on. And I don't really talk about this too much because it's a bunch of bullshit. It's the same as bird flu and the rest of that nonsense. This one was quite amusing. Not the video, that's to do with something we'll talk about in a minute, which is the UK. This is actually in Bondi. A couple of half-wit assassins got caught pointing a gun at the wrong person, not the person they were supposed to be shooting. So they then went on a merry chase and the police eventually arrested them. this guy is one of them. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce this dipshit's name. 24-year-old knobhead that got arrested. And the second guy is this guy Yusuf Zakra. So they both fled the scene and got arrested later on. They were supposed to be hitmen, the worst hitmen apparently, because they stopped 2 incorrect cars, not just one. And then eventually the police started to get reports about them when they were holding guns at people randomly and that sort of shit. So the police actually doing their job for a change and arresting a couple of dipshits on the street who probably would have shot somebody who's in a gang or something like that, I would assume, because they haven't released the name of the person. So that they were actually supposed to be shooting for their protection, according to the police. So we'll see what happens with that. These guys are probably going to go to jail though. Now we'll go on to the Olympics, and we've all seen the shit show that was the opening scenes of the Olympics, but what we probably missed was that an Australian woman was actually raped in Paris a couple of days just before the Olympic Games started. She was raped by 5 migrants, fucking illegal immigrants is what they are. She then goes into a kebab shop, and the staff and customers basically, except for 1 or 2, ignore her. Then the guy comes in, and eventually, somebody chases him outside, and then the police come.
Visibly distressed on CCTV and in tears. A woman helps her with water. Staff try to comfort her. Then a man walks in. She gestures, "That's him." The alleged attacker lingers and even approaches. A pat on the back before English speakers walk in to help. He makes an order, but then another diner takes a swing. The confrontation erupts. The man flees. Just minutes later, police arrive. Visibly distressed on CCTV and in tears.
So, yeah, not sure if any of them have actually been arrested yet or not. I would be surprised if any of them have done anything, been caught or not. I don't know how effective French police are. I would assume that most of them have other things to do with all the riots and shit that go on there constantly. So now we've got this dumb idiot, which is Barbara Butch. I mean, just the name alone, you know what this is. This is the fat chick that's in the middle of the Christian Last Supper mockery that went on at the games. Don't believe the nonsense that is going on online, the gaslighting and all the rest of the shit. It was not anything to do with the Greek dinner or anything like that. It was to do with Christianity. This is another continued attack on Christianity. I mean, I'm not even super religious, and this is an attack on Christianity, without a doubt. Even the director of it came out and said, before all the nonsense, all of the backlash, kicked off on him, he was stating that it was to do with Christianity and he didn't say it was an attack on it. He said it was to do with the Last Supper, though, and their version of inclusivity for the Last Supper or whatever. Somebody should check out his browser history and his computer, and I bet that will tell a whole different story about things. So this is I mean, I can't even give her the word performer. This is one of the idiots that was in that Olympic opening thing. She's decided that anybody who's nasty to her online, she's going to sue. So clearly mentally ill. You'd have to be be involved in any of this shit. You get the backlash that you deserve, and if you can't front up to it, then don't do it. Don't do what causes it. So yeah, she's an idiot. She's not going to get anywhere with any of these lawsuits, except possibly in Paris, which is a shithole and is run by Macron, and we all know how he's a lefty wazzock. So yeah, she's a muppet, and everyone who was rude is being sued by her. So that's pretty much everybody on the internet currently. So yes, staying with the Olympics, the Australian cycle team got broken into. Their van got smashed and all their shit got taken out of the van. Their bikes apparently were inside, so they didn't get taken. But all their equipment and everything else that was left in the van got taken. They later found it apparently using air tags. So you can see here they actually find a load of their crap spread all over everywhere. And they're cheering there because they found the massage table was still there. And yes, that was an LGBT stupid fucking flag for some reason, so you know what, you deserve it. This one, I've never even heard of these people. Burger chain Carl's Jr. goes into administration in Australia. So these guys in 2016 planned to open up 300 stores. They currently have, I think, 50 something. And 24 of those are going into administration. So 20 have closed immediately with 4 stores remaining open. So that's hundreds of people who are going to be out of jobs. I'm not sure where they are. Apparently they are in New South Wales, but like I say, I've never actually seen one of these places, so I don't know where they are. Their burgers look quite nice though, so I may have to try and find one and see what it looks like. Yeah, so KPMG restructuring services part David Hardy says the initial focus will be stabling operations of the group, but the initial stabilization of the group will be closing 20 stores. So it says further down here somewhere, what did it say? Oh, I must have read that on another article. So yeah, there's another company closing down in, oh, there it is there. So yeah, this is just 4 stores are expected to remain open under CJ Group's, while 20 will immediately close. So that's, you know, that's shitty news for everyone involved in a time when people can't afford to be jobless, thanks to the Albanese government and this amazing economy that they're currently running. So yeah, another company closing down in the Albanese government administration. So that's awesome. This is something I found quite amusing, so we'll just put that there for a second. And now let's get on to these 2 fucking criminals. So this is Claire O'Neill. This is from, who is this from? This was from Linda Richards. And Rick 20377332 Leet, whatever. So this is Claire O'Neill. While Home Affairs Minister, she welcomed over 1 million new people into Australia, but forgot to find them anywhere to live. She's just been reshuffled in Albanese's little clown show move around, and so he has now made her Minister of Housing, which is absolutely ridiculous. It is, I mean, you can't make this shit up. The chick brings 1 million people into the country without thinking about finding them houses, and then this dipshit makes the Minister of Homelessness, but it's actually housing. Like I said, you can't make this shit up. It's too stupid to be stupid. So she's a criminal. He's a fucking criminal. Both of these need to be arrested. This is Albo's current record so far. I'm still waiting for my $275 a year as well. So cost of health, food, education, housing, transport, electricity, gas and insurance are all up. Almost everything in double figures with the exception of health. So that's fantastic job by the Albanese government, working well for the people. Going to Melbourne. Melbourne has a fairly high crime rate going on at the moment, so the solution for this by the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, who again, criminal, Labor, needs to be arrested. His idea is that they'll roll out 200 cameras over 4 years at a cost of $14 million. So that seems criminal in itself. I don't know why it would take 4 years to roll out 200 cameras. That aside, he's actually claiming cameras stop crime in its tracks. If this was the case, then why have the cameras that are currently in play not stopped crime? These people are all being filmed on camera committing crimes, and it doesn't stop the crime from happening. So why would putting more cameras in, 14 million could be spent in a load of different ways. Increase the police force for a start, even though they're a bunch of revenue collectors. At least have them on the street looking like they're doing something. But no, 200 cameras, which will more than likely be used against you to monitor you and to charge you for offences that you do on the street, such as dropping litter, as opposed to actually catching any criminals. So this guy, Tool, needs to be fired and then probably arrested, and also have his browser history looked into, allegedly, for interesting things that are happening on there. So Claire O'Neill was one of the ministers. This is the other minister that got moved around. He's equally as useless, Tony Burke. He's moved back into a role he previously had, which is immigration. And previously, when he was in immigration, he let in 6,634 illegals in 80 days. So can't see that this is going to be anything except for a total waste of time and waste of money. This guy needs to be fired. All these people need to be fired. None of them are competent in any way, shape or form. They need to be replaced with people who are good in the and actually have experience in the roles that they're in. I don't know why these ministers are put into roles again that they failed at previously, or that they have no experience in whatsoever. These people are, this is all just a scam. Nothing here is going to get done. So this is the current UK scenes at that dance school where the 3 children died. Now 3 children have died there. One of them died later on in hospital. So it's 3 young girls who now died, as well as, I believe, 9 were injured during this knife attack in the UK. The locals and people from, I assume, maybe other areas as well, are fairly pissed and have now started peacefully protesting, as you can see in the background there. Fires are apparently part of peaceful protests. We're playing by the Antifa rulebook now, so that's what happens. So yeah, people there are very upset, obviously, with good cause. The name released online apparently is not correct, and they're claiming that it was a Welsh-born person. Now, I don't know anything about who it is that's apparently the perpetrator. He's supposed to be 17 years old, so I doubt we'll find out the name anytime soon, because they'll assign him child status and protect him that way. But if it is anything to do with any community related to the name released online, then that will be why they're holding the name back. So yeah, that's pretty much all the news so far. This dumbass needs to be fired, then arrested, and then his citizenship revoked and sent overseas somewhere. If you want to follow us day to day for stuff that's going on, you can catch us at we have a t.me, what's that, Telegram account, which is just /Peon. We post up there every now and then, memes mostly, and some news events that are going on in the country. We're on Twitter, obviously, or X, and it's just /Warrior Peons. And we have the website, which is warrior-peons.com. So yeah, follow us and come and post up shit memes with us and take the piss out of Albo. Anyway, catch you next time. Bye.